Good morning, gardeners. This is Anna in the Unity Church-Unitarian garden, and I am surrounded by abundance today. And I want you to think about something. If you were meeting somebody for the first time and they gave you some of their food and you'd never seen it before, would you eat it? If someone offered you food that looked kind of like something that you knew back home that you knew was not good to eat, that was even poisonous, and this person is sharing this wonderful food with you, would you eat it? Let's think about that today as we light our chalice. We light our chalice as a symbol of our faith, the light of truth and the warmth of love. Would you like to sing with me? Sing our chalice song? Rise up, O flame, by thy light glowing, show to us beauty, vision, and joy. Rise up, O flame, by thy light glowing, show to us beauty, vision, and joy. And as I think about friends, old friends, new friends, I have some very, very special friends that have helped me in this garden this summer. Dan Huelster, you've seen reading stories. Sylvia Hageman has done a lesson, and I was so proud of her for that. And today we have another guest lesson person, Murray Goff, and he's going to do a lesson and share it. And so I am thankful for all the people who work together to make this happen. And today I don't actually have a sorrow, so I'm not going to put that in, but I will let you do this at home for just a second. Okay. So at this time I'd like to turn this over to Murray Goff, and he's going to talk about the history and uses of a particular plant in this garden. It is one that when the Spanish first came to the Americas and they first saw this plant, they did think it was poisonous and they did not want to eat it. Let's see what Murray has to say about them.
Hello, I'm Murray. I am going to talk today about tomatoes. Thank you, Anna, for letting me do this, because that's great. So there's a lot of different kinds of tomatoes. I'm going to start with history. So you don't like tomatoes everywhere. I mean, like, you see tomatoes popping up in backyards, and you like eating stuff that's in tomatoes. But tomatoes actually came from South America before they were like distributed everywhere. And it's kind of really cool that happened. There's also indigenous people of Mexico were like the main farmers before it expanded to everywhere. So that's really cool. We have tomatoes here. That's cool. Also, the British in England, that far off place in Europe, they actually thought the tomato was poisonous because it looked a lot like another plant that was poisonous called the wolf peach. And that was really, really bad and poisonous. Let me check again. Okay. Then classification. So tomato is actually a kind of fruit. It's actually a kind of fruit. It's kind of crazy because a fruit has seeds inside of it, and that's one reason and so like you can plant the seeds, unlike a vegetable which doesn't have that kind of stuff. Also, so classification, that's what I'm talking about, is culinary. It's actually, some people call it a culinary vegetable because it has a less sugar content than like a regular fruit, because fruit are a little more sugary than like vegetables. So I have a bunch of different ways people use tomatoes. So like, most of the tomatoes are used for eating. I think some people might use them for dye sometime, but I don't really know about that. Tomatoes are used in like pizzas and spaghetti sauce and like chili, or like a lot of other foods that I don't know because I don't eat that many tomatoes. So let's look at some tomatoes as like plants. So one way you can tell a tomato is a tomato is because of the fruit, and also because there's these little like leaves. They kind of have like little like ends sticking out, then the space, then end sticking, space, end sticking, and then they kind of like form into a big like curve, almost like a tip of a spear maybe. There's a bunch of different kinds of tomatoes. There's like these tomatoes, which I think are black crim tomatoes. What they'll turn out to be is these will have red on the bottom and like a purple on the top, and that kind of color I love that kind of color. So it kind of looks like this. And it's a bit hard to show you guys. There's a big fat tomato in here. These are called,
I think that
big white one.
that's another black crim.
Oh, another black crim thing. Let me see, I'm just gonna move around for a second because there are cool tomatoes, and standing in one place is not gonna show you all the tomatoes. So there are some tomatoes like this one that have like the cool green bottom and the cool like white top. These are called green zebras, and I honestly think they look awesome. They're like really cool colored. And kind of in here you'll see like there's some yellow runs. Might stay green, might not stay green. Depends on the thing. And that way.
Oh, the cherry tomatoes that are red?
Yeah, there are a couple cherry tomatoes back here. I'll pick one because that'll be easy to show. And there's these really little ones called cherry tomatoes, and they're like red and very vibrant. I actually have some in my garden back home, and I'm just going to put this for some squirrel. Might be like, ooh, delicious cherry tomato, I'm gonna have it. Because lots of animals like tomatoes. They're like, bugs like tomatoes. I mean, like bees fly around, because I think most of that stuff comes from flowers that bees pollinate that turn into fruit. And I think that's really cool, because tomatoes, plants, life, super duper cool. Then, okay, there's also, so I just showed you a couple different types. There's like about 8 or 7 more in the garden. Some are really huge, like that, the green zebra is kind of like medium. Cherry's really small. The black crim is like big, very big. And there are a bunch of other kinds of tomatoes. People say, I mean, it's kind of like disputed, that there are possibly as many as 15,000 tomatoes types, or like different kinds of tomatoes, or as few as a couple hundred, which as a couple hundred, that's a huge amount. That's more than I could ever imagine. Lots of tomato plants are different. Lots of things about these tomatoes are different. They can get other like diseases like other plants. They can get a ton of other things. It's very different about them. And they're really cool. If you want to learn more about tomatoes, you can like, if you have a parent, you can maybe like look tomatoes up and like try to get a reliable source and be like, look at the cool things I didn't explain about tomatoes, and the cool things that maybe you want to learn more about, or other stuff like that. Maybe you want to grow your own tomatoes. But yeah, and the next is going to be Dan with the story, which is all about the fake ways where vegetables came from.
Today, our book is I Will Never, Not Ever Eat a Tomato by Lauren Child. I have a little sister, Lola. She is small and very funny. Sometimes Mom and Dad ask me to give Lola her dinner. Now, this is difficult because she is a very fussy eater. Lola won't eat carrots, of course. She says carrots are for rabbits. I say, what about peas? Lola sits at the table waiting for her dinner. And she says, I do not eat sausages or carrots or peas or oranges or potatoes or mushrooms or spaghetti or eggs I absolutely will never, ever eat a tomato. Lola looks at the table. Then why are there carrots there, Charlie? I don't ever eat carrots. And I say, those are not carrots. Those are orange twiglets from Jupiter. They just look like carrots to me, says Lola. But how can they be carrots? I say. Carrots don't grow on Jupiter. Oh, that's true, says Lola. Well, I might just try one if they're all the way from Jupiter. Then Lola sees some peas. I don't eat peas, says Lola. I say, these are not peas. Of course they are not. These are green drops from Greenland. They are made out of green and fall from the sky. But I don't eat green things, Lola says. Oh, goody, I say. I'll have your share. Green drops are incredibly rare. Oh, well, maybe I'll nibble just one or two. Oh, says Lola, they're quite tasty. Next, Lola spies the potato. I will not eat a potato, so don't even try. Not even mashed. Oh, this isn't a mashed potato. People often think that, but no, this is cloud fluff from the pointiest peak of Mount Fuji. Oh, says Lola. In that case, a large helping for me. I love to eat cloud. Charlie, she says, those look like fish sticks to me, and I would never, ever eat a fish stick. I know that, but these are not fish sticks. These are ocean nibbles from the supermarket under the sea. Mermaids eat them. Oh, I've been to that supermarket with Mom. Yes, I know the ones. I think I've had them before, says Lola, gobbling. Are there any more? And then Lola says, Charlie, will you pass me one of those? And I say, what one of those? And Lola says, yes. Of course, moon squirters are my favorite. You didn't think they were tomatoes, did you, Charlie? And that is the story of how Charlie and Lola ate dinner.
So gardeners, we'll circle back around to the end of our lesson today. I am so thankful for all of the work that people have done to help make this possible. And we are going to extinguish our flame today, but we know that the light of truth and the warmth of love will go with us in our heart. Have a wonderful week.